All right, so we'll start now in the Hosofos of Torah Ohr, the Maimer on the Yaykhel. Yaykhel in the Hosofos is lahavin sharshi hadvarim al posuk yichu meatchem Toruma. That is to understand the root of these matters that we learned that was inside the Maimer of Torah and Parshas Yaykhel. There's two Maimerim over there. The second Maimer is yichu meatchem Toruma la Hashem. Over there, you should take the Truma, you should take the gift from the Yin, from Hashem. So over there, the Maimer says that the word Truma, take from them something that you raise. Truma can also mean separation. It brings two taichin, to Truma to separate, and also Truma to raise. So now he's going to explain Lahavin Sharshi Advarim, Hanal, Apostle Chumidchem Truma Lashem. So where do we see this idea of raising? So he brings down the posik of Aremimcha Lekai Hamelach. I am going to raise you, my God, Hamelach the king. He's going to explain that the level of Malchus basically has, in a way, a different relationship. The way it gives its flow different than the other spheres. The Sephira is mainly above Malchus. Their hashpah is within Atzilus. And over there, the hashpah is in a way of Ilav Olu, which means that there is a connection from the Mashpia, from the Chesed, to the recipient of the Chesed. Just like simply when a person does chesed to another person, so there is a connection between the makabel, the recipient, and the mashpia. But Malchus gives to biyah. From Malchus it goes into b'ri yetzira. Over there, the way it's mashpia is in a way of reimemus, that he is above. He doesn't connect in a connecting way like ilav olu from one to the other, but by being aloof. That's in a way the idea of Seviv Kolam, that from Malchus to connect to the world is Seviv Kolam. But then we also have Mimalu Kolam, but it teaches the word Aremimcha, that I will exalt you, which means that the Hashem, this is sort of the talking about the way Hashem is Seviv Kolam, and it's the Eibishter's higher, the level of beyond, not beyond the level of Olu, Elakai, when it comes down to the Mechai in the world to be, my God, is Hamelach. That's the level of Malchus. Let's look inside. Hine, Pirush, Aremimcha Lekai Hamelech. What does it mean? The meaning, I will raise you, my God, Hamelech, Hanis Khalil, which was mentioned earlier in the Maimer, in the inside of the Maimer, Yuvan, Lahov, Bahagdim, Lahov, in Afresh, that will understand it by introducing, to understand the difference between Bechinas Malchus, the Shar, Midas Atzilus, to understand the difference between Malchus and the other measures of Atzilus. Hine, Kol HaMidas VaSfiras, all the measures and the spheres, Hine Bechinas Ohr V'Shefa Hanishpa Mehem, the light and the flow that comes from them, Uba Bechinas Ilav Olu. Ilav Olu means a cause and effect. A chain, the link of a chain, which the lower level is connected to the top of the lower level is connected to the bottom of the upper level. But basically, it means there's a connection, there's a chain, there's a link, which means that there is a shaykhas, there is a comparison, there is a connection between them. The hainu sheyesh la makabel hanikra olu. So therefore, what it means is that the recipient, who is called the Olu, he's the effect, he is the Erech Ela Mashpi. He has a comparison, he has a connection to the Mashpia. K'moi Al Derech Moshu Midas HaChesed. Say, for example, the measure of Chesed, Sheteva Midas Zu Lahashpia LaMakabel. The nature of this measure is to be mashpia to the makabel. Chesed gives, Chesed wants to give to the recipient. So the one who receives the Chesed, he receives from the essence of the Chesed of the Mashpia. The essence of the Mashpia's Chesed goes to him. As he says, opposed to Malchus. Malchus, he doesn't get his essence because they're Reimamus. But here is Mekabel Memahus Midas Chesed Mashpia. Ve'achesed Nishpa Lifi Erech HaMekabel. And the Chesed goes according to the value, according to the level of the Mekabel. Okay. So therefore there is a comparison, there's a relationship between them. He gives chesed, the recipient receives the chesed, it's measured, it's connection. There's a connection between one another. And similar is in all measures. But in the level of Malchus, the main flow, as you'll see soon, we have both flows really. But the main flow of Malchus, it's not come in a way of cause and effect, a measured. It comes in a level of raising, exaltness, in comparison. Nivdal meha mekabel, separated from the recipient. Doesn't measure it, but it's aloof from the recipient. It's going to explain, like a melech rules through his being exalted. And this exaltness, this raising, that's the main flow and the energy of the mekablim. What do the mekablim get? They get the exaltness. They don't get the closeness, but they get the reimus nisnas. That's the way the main existence of their standing is through this isnasus, as he quotes from the Pirkei Avos, Ki ilmolei merosh malchus, had it not been for the fear of the king, people would swallow one another up. So basically, the way the king, the hashpoah, comes is the fear of the king, something above, higher. So it says, so similar to this is also above, like the level, by the level of Malchus. In the Malchus that Atzilus univdo bedover zeh mishar hasfiris that Atzilus. Malchus that Atzilus is distinguished, different in this manner from the rest of the spheres of Atzilus. Shemekulam nishba b'chinas ila v'olu. From all of them comes an ila v'olu, v'hainu b'Atzilus, that is in Atzilus. Ki the pirush b'geres hakodesh dibur hamaschil iu v'chayoy. Aval b'chinas midas malchus hamachaya kol olam meholam es b'yamayin liyesh. But when we talk about the measure of malchus, which vitalizes all the worlds of bri yitzira sid mayin liyesh, hine hashpoas oirei bo b'chinas reimus visnasus. So how does the flow of the light of malchus come to biyah? It comes b'chinas reimus visnasus. It comes exaltness and race. Like we say, Hamelech Hamreimam Hamisnase. Melech Hamisnase. The one, the king that is exalted, raises. Ubezois Iker Chayis Vikim Kol Ha'olamis, and that exaltness, that's the main vitality, the main existence of all the world. There it says, B'chinas Malchus, or B'chinas Hisnasus V'Histalchus, that the level of Malchus is raised and removed. The only thing is that is shines. What is revealed is the name of is only the level of name. That the yam is referencing over the Malchus, that is stands above. So Pirush, this is the meaning Arei Mimcha. Arei Mimcha exalt you pirush hareimus v'isnasus the b'chinas malchus. This exalt this and the raising of malchus lias nikra lekai, which is to be called my God lahachis mein liyesh. Hainu b'chinas hamelach. That is the level of hamelach. Chulu. Okay. So that is the Taicho Remimcha. So here we're saying, but as you noticed in he said the Alter Rebbe said all the time, that's the main way Malchus is mashpia into Biyah, is through being aloof, being removed, not in a ilov olul, not in a connection, not in a measure, but in a way above them. But there is also the level which Malchus is mashpia in a way of ilov olul as well. That's the Mamaluk Kulam. Basically, there is the Seif Kulam that comes from Malchus into the world. Then there is the Mamaluk Kulam. The Mamaluk Kulam that's called the Chitzonius HaMalchus, that comes down also in the way of ilov olul. Achine zeu b'chinas pnimis midas Malchus. This is the inner of midas Malchus. Aval b'chinas Chitzonius midazu, but the external of this measure. Yored lahoyer lamata b'biyah b'bchinas ilov olul dafke. That descends in the level of Yah in a way of ilov olul dafke b'nikra b'chinas b'malek kol almim l'kol echad v'echad l'fum shiur delay canal. That's called filling the world. Each one according to their measure. That is measured. The general comes with life of Soiva Makif. It's not measured. It's in general, but this comes down specific. Gam ba'abir apostle shcheirani v'novon isbayer sheyesh b'chinas malchus atzilus beis b'chinas chul. Over there also the Maimer says there's these two levels. So he's going to explain now the two levels. First, he says, "V'oinyan hu," and the idea is ki yidua the b'chinas malchus da atzilus nase b'chinas atik lebriya chulu. When you want to talk about the level of malchus, the way it's in atzilus over there, the connection with bria, with bia, is through a way of hisnasus, through malchus. But then there is the level of atzilus that it becomes a crown. It becomes an atik. Atik is a crown, or removed for bria. From that atik, the way malchus becomes an atik libria, over there it comes in a way of ishtalshus. You do the b'chinas malchus atzilus nasa b'chinas atik libria chulu. B'chein, and the same thing is b'chinas malchus de bria, from malchus of bria nasa b'chinas atik liyitzira atseif asiyah chulu. From malchus de bria, it becomes a level of atik for yitzira all the way till the end of asiyah. That's from malchus de bria. So benimtza. So, but there it turns out, Yored the Ohr Mishtalshel b'chinas ilav olul. So, because we're saying that each world gets its own atik, and it goes down from atik to bria, then it goes to the next malchus. So that means to say that there is not one malchus of atzilus which encompasses everything, all the worlds, bria, tzia. It goes separately to each one. So that means nimtza. So it turns out that the light evolves in a way of ilav olul in every world until the end of Asiyah. And he's going to explain now from an example, right? So there's two. He's going to bring an example when a teacher is teaching students. So there is the seichel of the Rav, which is distinguished and beyond the seichel of the Talmud. So generally, the Rav is removed from the Talmud. But then the Rav is mashpia to the Talmud a certain idea that he's teaching him. So over there, that already becomes a connection. That piece the student understands already. But yet, the Rav gives a shir. Every student will understand it differently, a little bit, because everybody takes it. So that level of what the Rav is mashpia, that is already considered to be like Ilava Olu, because that's already giving down the Seichel from the Rav through that speech coming down to the student, to the Talmud. And that there is already the Chilukim, that is the way Malchus functions as specifically for each one individually. So we'll understand this by way of example of this speech. The speech becomes an intermediary between the teacher, the Rav, and the student. Through the speech of the Rav, the student is able to grasp, understand, and to the entire intellect of the Rav. So the Rav's idea, he gets it, right? Through what? Through the speech. So there is no comparison, the student with the Rav in the essence, the wisdom that the teacher has, it's a whole different level. However, but this seichel that has been given from the Rav to the Talmud, yesh erech letalmid imoy. So then there is some relationship to the student with him, with the Rav. Because he understands through the speech, just like the teacher understands the seichel that is being given through him, so the students gets it. This flow in the speech divides itself through the speech to each recipient according to their level. One gets it a little less, one gets it wider. Everybody gets it according to their measure. That's how they get it. By way of example, is Gzeiras HaMelech. And we have the Gzeiras Melech Basar Badom, La'anshe Medinose, to the people of his country. So you have the general. Hine Pekudose moving lekol echad ve'echad lefi shir hasagose. The command is understood, each one the way they can understand it. Why? The reason, what's the command of the king? That's the specific command. Hagam sheremus hamelech, but the exaltation of the king, nidul berech mekulam, that is separated in comparison from all of them. Abel divrei pekudosei, but the words of his command, muvonim umusogim berech v'yichus l'kam chulu, that is understood to the recipients. Zehu shekosuv, and this is what the pasuk says, Dvar melech shilte, that the word of the king, he dominates. He dominates, the king dominates with the word. Mipnei shehu b'chinas chitzonius midas hamalchus, because that is the external level of malchus. Ligzar emer ala medina, to decree, to say over the country, and that's v'nikra dvar melech, and that's called the word dvar melech shiltoi. That's called the dvar melech. That's the word of the king. But when we talk about the essence of his exaltation, that is, he is distinguished from comparison, as we said before. So all this we understand above. In the level of Malchus Atzilus, that it becomes an Atik Libri. We said before that from Malchus becomes an Atik Libri, a crown for Bria, and from there it's Nimshach further down. That way it goes and it evolves till the end of Asiya. That is the supreme speech. Like we said before, that the word of the Melech is the Shilton, is the rule. That the Eberster's Malchus is the Malchus of all Olamim, which means all world comes from Malchus at Soif Asiya till the end of Asiya. Lahachiz b'chinas dibur zeh. So with this word to vitalize the Kol Chad, the Fum Shura delay, each one according to their measure. V'hu hanikra b'chinas memalakol amim. That is called memalakol amim. Sheyored ha'or v'achayis, the light and the chayis goes down. L'chol nivra b'frat b'eifem proti, to each created being specifically in an individual way. The Pum Shura delay according to their measure. Mereish kol dargin, atzil kol dargin, from the highest of levels, from Biyah all the way to Bria, all the way to Asiya, everything goes with a measured. That's the Memalkul Am, atzil kol dargin, till the end of all levels. Ukaniske le'il, as mentioned before. Kumeshekosu b'mokamachar aposig v'ato yigdal no. There is written b'inyan kasher debarto lemer. Yigno kasher debarto lemer. So there he discusses shemalchus de atzilus nase keser chochmo bina das libriya. The malchus de atzil becomes the keser chochmo bina das, means it becomes that, and then it evolves from there. The chen is bayer aposik hashemayim kisi. Over there, he also explains over there in the Pasuk, Hashemayim Kisis, over there it explains the Pirush, Mevin Dover, Mitoich Dover. We say that, what does it mean? The idea, what is the Chacham v'Novin? There's a Chacham, there's one understanding. A Novin is somebody who understands one item from the other item. What does it mean that he understands one item from the other item? So what he understands is Sovev Kolamin. And how does he understand Sovev Kolamin from Imala Kolamin? So the Toich Dover, from what does he understand it, is from the Toich Dover, from Imala Kolamin, what comes down, Leferach HaSoga. From there he knows that there's also the Dover, there is the Toich Dover, and Dover Hainu Etzem B'chinas Hamalchus Shu B'chinas Sevu K'lamim K'meshe Kosu. That's the essence of Malchus, as the Rebbe said before. V'zeu Gam Kein Shodesh Inyan. This is also the root of the idea of Lechem Abidim Ochal Ish. Pasuk says that the bread of the Abidim was eaten by a man. Who is the Abidim? Abidim is the Malachim. So basically, it's brought down, the Gemara brings down, Rabbi Akiva says that what did, he didn't eat for 40 days when he was on the mountain. But how did he, what sustained him? He ate the bread of the Abidim. He ate the bread of the Malachim. A man, Moshe Rabbeinu, ate the Malachim. That bread sustained him. What does that mean? It says that Lechem, Shemalach HaShoros Eichlim. That's the bread that the Malach HaShoros eat. Shehu Amon. That is the Mon. K'di'isa b'yoyma daf ayin hey amid beis. As the Gemara says in Yoyma, daf ayin beis amid beis. So, when he wants to say, they're actually sustained. When you talk about you eat bread, bread is something which you take in the inside. He wants to bring it down. It's the level of a malachus. That's when we bring down from the level of malchus into biyah, and it actually sustains the person in a way that it's close to him, that it becomes his chayis. The hine b'chinas malchus da atzilus shenasa atik lebriya kanal. What is it when we say Malchus Atzilus becomes the crown of Bria, it comes down, it means it becomes the delight, it becomes the time. In a bechinas atik zeh, hainu bechinas eineg eliki, that is the godly delight, hanimshach mebechinas tal ha'elyon. That comes from the supreme tal, which comes from the malchus. The yored lamata, and that descends below to the extent ad shaneshamis malochim misangim gamkim mimenu, so that the souls and the angels also are enjoying it. The tal that do basogas eliki, when they grasp godly grasping shemasigim basogazu, that they remember with this kind of delight, nimshul lamozin u'machel. So that is been equated to mozin u'machel. That's like a food for them. This ability to grasp this higher level is compared to food for them. Why is it compared to food? That delight, that level of grasping, becomes the food for them. He's going to explain this is the same thing with the bread that the mon, because by the mon it also says that it was the towel that went on top and on the bottom, the dew, called in the Kabbalah talad de bedeloicha. That's the enekein habedelach. That's the towel that is associated with the mon. That's what he wants to say, that you can actually live. That's the lechem. You can actually live from that tainug, from what you get, because just like the food, that's called why shamozin yoshiv. And it is absorbed, including the soul. Likewise, this supreme delight, they're the enjoying the understanding godliness. That delight is absorbed in the souls. That becomes like a food and an energy to them. As we say in the davening, that they will be satisfied in delight mituvecha, from Hashem's goodness. That's what's Hashem's goodness? That enjoyment of the spiritual understanding gives them energy. They live with this. That's part of their chayis. That's just like food, vitalize them. They're living from that asogas elokus, as we say in the davening, yizbu v'sangu. Then it's like the man which would be absorbed in the physical limbs. Likewise, it's written, Kital oirois talecha, which is mebchina tala de belecha, that the dew of light is your dew, that is from the level of tala de belecha, the tal of the lecha, the noftiv ma'atika. Again, the bedoilach is by the mon, it says the enika bedoilach. It's like a glassy, like a crystal, like that. It's called the dew of the crystal that drips. The notif means that it drips ma'atika, from the level of atik. This goes down to the souls and to the angels to become their food. And this light, that gets absorbed in an inner, so that they actually grasp it. Everybody according to their measure. Okay, we'll leave it over here.